Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. You see, last hour when we were going through the possible laws that the grand jury might be looking at, we just want to let you know that other people at this time of the year play fantasy football. We here at Red Eye Radio play fantasy prosecutions.
Oh, look, we may or may not have mock-up photos of Hillary in an orange jumpsuit, Barack in an orange jumpsuit, hanging in our studios. I said may or may not. You can't prove it. What are you, a cop? So the word fantasy does come into play.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we didn't mention the word bill or fantasy in the same sentence, to be clear, until just now. Dang it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting to look at the actual laws we did and then just break down what the law is and whether it applies. And it seems like it does. It does apply. I don't know what law applies to Hillary here. That's one person we didn't talk about.
Right. Well, no laws
we
apply
talked.
to her, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was doing fantasy prosecution when I thought that any law applied to Hillary.
Yeah.
No, of course it doesn't.
It would have to be a fantasy. Yeah.
But no, because that's the question. Once you get it before the grand jury, it means they have a plan of action, and that's all we try to do is look at the puzzle. It's what we've done, as I've said, since January 2nd, 2017, when we said, what's this Russia collusion stuff?
Yeah.
Where'd this all come from? What's going on here? And we covered it the last hour the same way that we've done it from the very beginning. And normally we're not that far off.
Right.
Because we're not just throwing darts at the side of a barn.
No.
Whatever they say, throwing stuff at the side of the barn.
Throwing pancakes at the Waffle House waitress.
Right. We're actually looking at the specifics of what the law says and seeing whether it applies to what actually happened. And you can make the argument that it does. And what we've always said is, I have no idea whether they can get a prosecution on it. My goal has always been, can they get an indictment? Because we're not going to know a lot because of the grand jury.
Yeah.
The grand jury testimony, we're not going to know what's in there. You know, you will if it goes to trial, but even when we didn't know as much as we know now, we said, well, if I'm sitting on a jury, that might get me to indict.
Yeah.
You know, if that was the information that we brought and was inclusive, and looking at the Section 118, 241, 242, and 245 of the law, and you break it down and you say, oh, my gosh, it actually does fit. And we've actually said, you know, for anybody, the doubters out there, you guys, we've actually said if you find a weak spot in our argument, we're the first people that want to know.
Yeah.
On it. Because it's really the first time that we've gone over it. It's not like we've vetted our own opinion 50 times, which by the time this is all over, we will have.
Yeah, give us a minute. Why are you in such a rush? It's imperative, I think, because, number one, to satisfy your own curiosity. But as all of this floats like one massive garbage bale that we ship to other countries, I mean, it really is a heaping, steaming pile, isn't it? I mean, it's just, my gosh. If they took this garbage and put it in the ocean, liberals would be over the top crazy. But as you keep it floating together on this garbage barge, the hope is that one day, my hope is that the American people learn the truth and that more and more people know that truth. What they do with the truth is on them. Some people will ignore it, whatever. But that truth becoming available. If any laws were broken, no one is above the law. And we should go through the process and they should be held accountable accordingly. But beyond that, everything for me is about the truth. For myself knowing the truth, for the American people knowing the truth, we certainly deserve to know. But also, you know, in the age where the rank and file Democrat is calling, you know, they, according to the Axios story, they want blood. They are as radical as you can get. You know, it has to be demonstrated how far the party has been willing to go leading up to this point. Keep in mind, this whole thing started 9 years ago, maybe longer. And that is so 9 years ago. The point being is that if you apply the advancement, the progress of radicalism on the left accordingly to this, the question would be, how far are they willing to go today? If they were willing to go this far then, how far are they willing to go today? If the constituents are indeed the those who support the Democrats in office are saying we want blood, then how far are they willing to go? Because this is clearly a massive, grand conspiracy of like-minded individuals and a culture that had been formed over a period of years, generations. And if that, again, if they're willing to do this then, what are they willing to do today? And I think that has to be measured. I think that everything has to be kept in check, in balance with the truth.
Well, that's why you have to investigate this and why you have to have a grand jury, because you have to at least have the attempt to hold people accountable as a deterrent for the future. Nothing that we can do about the past.
Right.
Nothing we can do about yesterday. But you can change what happens in the future. And if nobody's held accountable, that's been one of our biggest fears. If nobody's held accountable and they believe that they can go out and do whatever they want, in order to destroy, number one, attempt to rig an election as they did.
Yeah.
Because that's what the attempt of Hillary was to do. Now, it may have not have been her intent might have been to deflect off her law breaking, but at the same time, she knew she was running against him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it was to destroy his candidacy and then an attempt to destroy his presidency. We need to know everything. We need to know everything we possibly can get. We need to get the truth. We need to get people under oath. Need to subpoena people. Need to find out the truth. At the minimum.
Yeah.
And then anything else comes after that is welcome. But it's all based on the truth and what actually happened and what they actually did. And we know a lot of the truth. And a lot of the truth is really bad. It's really bad stuff. They tried to set up Trump. They did. They succeeded. And I won't say they tried. They succeeded in setting up Trump. They succeeded in helping to destroy his first term.
Yeah.
And so the American public, number one, needs to know the truth. The history books need to know the truth and know that this was looked into. The grand jury needs to be called in this because a grand jury then can figure out whether there's criminal charges or not. And it needs to be disseminated in the media, as we did today, what possible crimes are there. And then when we get more evidence, more justification or less justification for crimes that are alleged. But either way, I want to get to the truth. That's my major thing. My major point is to get to the truth in all of this.
Yeah.
And it's much more exciting, though, than fantasy football. Well, seriously.
Fantasy prosecution.
Well, I mean, I think I was thinking about this the other day because I got into, just because I don't get the commercials on YouTube. It's the best money I've ever spent. I never thought the best money I would spend would be on streaming, not to get content.
Yeah.
I mean, it's commercial content, but still, okay, I'll pay whatever it is, $12 a month, not to see the commercials. Well, it's wonderful because you get everything. And it's just been the last 10 days or so, I seem to be getting all these murder mysteries. And I've probably, as I do show prep, as I clean the house, whatever it's on, and I've come to the conclusion that people that commit murder, especially those who murder their spouses, are complete idiots and put no thought into how easily they're going to be caught. And
the first suspect is always the spouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And watch, I was like, wow. But then watching the twists and turns of that and how interesting it is when you see these criminal cases and you go through the investigators and everything else, they're interesting. This thing, though, it is a completely different dimension. It's something that, as we've talked about, you and I have talked about for over 8.5 years.
Yeah.
And all
That's
this
insane.
8.5 years we've been talking about this, and it's fascinating, even if it's horribly immoral and unlawful, it's still one of the most fascinating political scandals in American history. It may be the number one political scandal in American history. And luckily, number two, very close behind, would be the auto pen.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's incredible, and it's fascinating to speculate or try to figure out, what the puzzle is. I don't mean just raw speculation based on no evidence. We don't do that.
No, it's based on what we know so far.
Look at what we know so far, and as we did today, the criminal charges out there that we heard they may be looking at, and then see if it actually, what they've done, fits the content of the actual law.
Right.
And we look at it today and say, yeah, it seems to, unless we're missing something. And we're always at this stage, even asking anybody who's a lawyer, email us later on, let us know, is there as we did earlier a couple of times, is there a weakness? And we're constantly trying to figure out the weakness of our argument. We're doing something the left doesn't seem to bother to do. There is no weakness to our argument. Let's go to Illinois because we're against gerrymandering.
Yeah, let's go to one of the most gerrymandered states on the planet and protest gerrymandering in another state.
And so we're always looking because we want we want the argument when it comes out. We want to number one, we want to understand what the legal argument would be, and number two, we want it to be solid.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, we want the truth to be exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's number one.
Something that the left doesn't care to do.
Now,
they clearly want the opposite.
No, they don't. I want the truth on it all. I'm not interested in a lie. I'm not interested in speculation without any evidence to back up speculation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you start getting the puzzle, though, is when you can speculate based on the evidence that you have. and, what the allegations are based on what the law is.
Right.
Or what part of the law they might be looking at. But
right.
It's going to be an interesting thing. I just wonder how long the grand jury will have to look at something like this and how long it will be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see how long it will take them and
right.
Again, I don't want to be impatient. The process is the process.
And this is a different case because of all the parties involved and how long it went on. They're claiming it went on for.
Right.
If you take the entire conspiracy or racketeering case, if it went from early 2016 just to Mar-a-Lago,
right, yeah.
and everything that happened there, well, you're talking a period of what, 7.5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That's different than hypothetically Adam Schiff and the investigation into him and mortgage fraud.
Yeah.
That should take you about 5 minutes.
Right.
Because the evidence would be, did he lie in a mortgage application?
Yeah.
By when he signed it, that, you sign it under knowing that if you put anything wrong on there, it's perjury.
Right.
Or fraud. Whatever.
It's fraud.
Fraud. Not
loan
perjury.
fraud.
Not perjury, fraud. Loan fraud. Right.
Yeah.
So that should be pretty easy to figure that one out. This case is a completely different case.
Mm-hmm.
So
it will be interesting to see.
More interesting than fantasy football and more interesting than whether Colin Kaepernick is going to play this year, which he is not.
Yeah, right.
By the way, I'm going to go out on a limb. He'll never play an NFL game again. That's going out on a big limb, isn't it?
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
What is the connection between farmers markets across the country, perhaps your local venue, and USDA's agricultural marketing service? AMS's Americo Vega says first and foremost,
we don't regulate farmers markets. We do provide a lot of resources.
Support includes grant opportunities via the Farmers Market Promotion Program.
This is a program that farmers markets can apply, and it doesn't have to be farmers markets exclusively. It can be any organization who's trying to improve direct marketing for farmers, but often farmers markets are the main entities that apply for these programs.
As well as resources such as
the USDA's local food directories. The Farmers Market Directory is the main one. We have close to 7,000 listings. The main purpose is to connect consumers with farmers.
And research into farmers markets and their connections to local economies. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. An arsonist reportedly targeted a Washington State Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office over the weekend, and photos showing fire damage and shattered glass from objects thrown at the facility. Look, this is what you get when you've got the left out there saying, we've said it all along, and it started a long time ago with the Hitler and the Nazis and everything else. When you call somebody a Nazi and you say it over and over again, you got people believing that Trump and Republicans would actually line up people and kill them. Mm-hmm. And the same thing here with ICE. ICE is kidnapping people off the street.
Right.
ICE is like the Gestapo. All these things that they're saying are completely and totally false, but you've got people out there that actually believe it.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. See, one of my highlights yesterday was the fact that it was the one-year anniversary where Tim Walz was introduced.
Yeah.
And it was
A day of joy.
I got to see it all happen again, and the jumping up and down, and everything. I mean, it was just, you think about it, oh, man, this, I don't know if the year took a long time or whether it was a short time, but it was, that was certainly a humorous way to begin a year ago.
Yeah.
And I have to repeat it one more time. We did it early on yesterday's show, so there's a lot of people that might not have heard it, but this went viral on X 2 days ago. And it was a fake excerpt from the Kamala Harris book. This isn't real. Okay?
Right.
But it was so dang funny because it could be. That's the thing. The Babylon Bee could have written this, but here it is. It's a fake excerpt from Kamala Harris's book.
Yeah.
Hey, if Jim Acosta could do what he did, you know we're joking.
Yeah.
He seriously was talking to AI, and it was all contrived and scripted. But here it is. Tim, talking about Tim Walz, Tim was a breath of fresh air on the campaign, and he was largely responsible for the joy vibes that permeated the early days of our partnership. Our internal polling had shown that voters described my chronic laughter as off-putting and reminiscent of a witch or a sick horse. But Tim said we could turn a negative into a positive by running a positive, upbeat, joyful campaign to contrast Donald Trump's darker, more diabolical vibes. The early returns were quite positive. The Joy campaign allowed friendly media to portray us as relatable by engaging in things that the ordinary scum did often, such as shopping for potato chips. We released a video where Tim and I and some staffers, whose names I forget, went into a grocery store Secret Service had cleared out. As planned, Tim picked up a bag of mesquite-flavored chips and tossed them to me. After about a dozen takes, Tim managed to successfully throw them to me, and I managed to catch them. We released the ordinary shoppers from the shed they were locked in and hit the road. People loved the idea.
Oh, yeah.
While the public seemed to like Tim initially, the polling showed he was unable to make inroads with young straight men. We tried everything. Pictures of Tim hunting, fixing cars, talking football. But every time we thought we had a winner, Tim would take the stage at an event and prance about and wave frantically with both hands like a complete sissy, and the polls would dive again. Then came the constant request for me to braid my hair, and that's where it ends. The fake excerpt from Kamala Harris's book. Oh, I just found that great.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, everything that we talked about today, and one of the things we started the show off with was just had different headlines out there, and how at times it can be frustrating because we sort of are arguing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And the left just keeps going on 80-20 issues that they consistently lose. And I read one of the headlines that said, ICE is not the Gestapo. And so the conservative media is out there still defending the complete asinine and false things that the left continues to regurgitate over and over and over and over again. The most interesting thing I have found post-election, and will continue because they've not found a solution to it, is where Democrats are going to go. Republicans are basically a known quantity. Whatever happens, economics will settle the whole tariff thing.
Yeah.
And I believe in a few months that will all be settled in some way. The Republicans, for all, you know, the Epstein stuff and Israel and Ukraine and Russia, for all the differences that a small minority but vocal minority have, mostly the influencers on those positions, the vast majority of Republicans agree on the issues.
Yeah.
Democrats, I'm afraid, do too, but it's all insane. We've seen the whole Mondami popularity in New York City. We see the establishment candidates out, or coming in second place. I think they're doing the ranked choice voting, but not performing. The radicals are winning in Seattle. The radicals are winning in New York. The radicals are winning in Illinois. They're not going to change anything that they believe, even though you've seen on a consistent basis that the media is taking shots and losing influence every single day. We've talked about, PBS.
Yeah.
We've talked about Terry Moran. We've talked about
Colbert.
Stern came up.
Right.
The whole thing about, Howard Stern.
Right.
Now, I would tend to say, not that there's not a market for him, there's not a market worth $100 million a year.
For Stern?
Stern, yeah.
No, I don't see that business model.
Yeah, the business model isn't there.
No.
But, what turned it? Alienating half your audience. When you're an entertainment show, because remember, that's what he started out with. The initial money came to him 20 years ago because he was an entertainment talk show host. I know probably some of you say, he didn't entertain me. That's not my point. My point is that's the genre that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem with whether it's Fallon or Kimmel or Colbert, is they're on entertainment networks. Their shows, Fallon is still doing the entertainment stuff, but Kimmel and Colbert went full bonkers leftist and continue to do so. They're on the wrong channel to be doing that.
Yeah, you're in the wrong place.
Right.
You're not in the right room to be doing that.
But when you see the change in the Washington Post, you see now, because of Trump lawsuits, where they have backed off. One of the major reasons that they have backed off, they don't wish to do discovery. They don't want the public to know what actually goes on behind the scenes. The public has figured out that the mainstream media, that they're political activists. And we talked about this earlier. When you're not honest about what your product is, and this is the most amazing thing, because in marketing, that's the number one thing. Identify what the product is you're selling. And you're telling us you're selling journalism, and obviously the public knows you're not. Forget about your bias. If you come out and say, hey, I'm a radical leftist, you can work one day a week and get $20 million a year on MSNBC.
Yeah.
But she's just, Maddow, I'm just a crazed liberal, throwing crap out all over the place, to the point where when she was sued for defamation, the Obama judge said any reasonable person would not take her as a serious, truthful place to get the news. If you watch Rachel Maddow, you expect to get lied to. That came from the Obama judge. Remember that?
Yep. Well, this is again, like Colbert being hired by CBS. Colbert's coming from a highly political show, fake political show.
Yeah.
Also on an entertainment network, but it was politically driven. And it was, they had to, in fact, he had to hide behind a character on his show on Comedy Central. That was a contrived character. Well, then he comes to CBS. Well, my gosh, they're bringing me in to be me. It's okay for me to be the activist that I am. And the audience is going, number one, where's Dave? And number two, what happened? I'm staying up late to try and cleanse my palate from the day with some entertainment, and I get this? I'm supposed to be an activist or a protester or watch protesters and activists? And that's been going on for, what Howard Stern's problem is, I don't know. I can't tell you. It's weird because you go back to the day, the old Howard would have said, oh, Trump, I don't care about him. Whatever. It's crazy. It's all crazy.
He'd be looking at the cleavage in the Sidney Sweeney ad.
Exactly.
That'd be the thing he'd be obsessed about.
He'd be talking about how hot Melania is, or what I mean?
Right, exactly.
It wouldn't have been about anything serious.
Right.
And when he told his audience, if you voted for Trump, I demand you stop listening. It wasn't like, man, I don't know how you guys voted for this guy, but okay, whatever. Crazy political thing.
I think
it's not, I demand you stop listening.
Right.
Well, you're the king of all media, so I got to stop listening. I'm gone.
Without question, the political thing helped to do him in, but I think what did incredible damage, remember, he was viewed as this is the guy that's daring. He'll take on anybody. He'll insult anybody. I'm going to stay in my house for 2 years and never leave it, never go out to dinner because of COVID.
Well,
he came off as he came off as a complete paranoid person, completely paranoid, where he was basically had the bunker mentality of Y2K.
He's actually said that since about his work. Now that he does the show from home. He said, SiriusXM liberated me because I could work from home. I don't have to leave the house.
Yeah. And that's not just where the Democratic Party is going. In conclusion, I'm fascinated to see where the political activist media goes from this point. We know slowly but surely that there's some kind of a change at the Washington Post. Whether they actually get to the point of being a legitimate journalistic news service is still to be seen. They're making
television subscriptions are going away. Subscription-based television is going away. Even streaming doesn't know what to do because everybody will lily pad on their services. I'm going to watch Netflix for a while, then I'm going to jump over to Hulu for the season of this and watch that, and then I'm going to cancel that and move on to this tomorrow.
A la carte.
Well, and even Fox is launching their own app where you get everything in the one app for $19.99, including Fox News all the way to the network. Because they see how the habits are changing. But the problem is you're in the land where YouTube has how many different channels?
Yeah.
Potentially as many individuals that have a device can have a channel on YouTube. You're competing with all of that content and more. And you want people's money. Well, there's free stuff everywhere.
And you're not being honest about what you are.
Right.
And you're defending indefensible positions.
Right.
Huge problem.
Huge problem.
I'm fascinated to see what's going to be the whole scene is going to be 5 years from now.
Yeah, me too.
Even forget about 5 years from now, even leading up to 2028.
Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You look at the state, for example, of television liberal media. This in National Review more people read the New York Times print edition than watch CNN in prime time.
Wow.
Dominic Pino, imagine telling yourself in 2000 or even in 2010 that in 2025 more people would subscribe to the New York Times in print than watch CNN in prime time. It's true. The New York Times Company reported today 580,000 print subscribers in the second quarter of this year. CNN, 538,000 primetime viewers.
Wow.
Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.